r/Tales from Tech Support. I shut the computer down every single night. Whenever a user puts in a ticket about their computer being slow, the first thing I do is check the uptime. 9 times out of 10, there's a system uptime on Windows 7 at that of well over 40 days, and a reboot clears up all their problems. Occasionally, a user argues about this, and today was one of those days. This particular user was one of our regional directors, so not really anyone I could report her to for her completely terrible behavior, because the VP that oversees them is just as bad, but whatever. I got a sysadmin job offer from a different company yesterday and am putting in my notice tomorrow, so I don't honestly even care at this point. As I was explaining to her that we recommend rebooting computers once every 7 days just as a maintenance thing, she interrupts me with, No, do not even tell me to reboot the computer. I shut it down every single night. Okay. We also commonly see users who think logging off is rebooting or turning the monitor off is shutting the computer off. And none of the computers are all-in-ones. So it's not an iMac case where there could be confusion as to the difference between the screen and the computer itself. I tell her Windows is reporting an uptime of 41 days 19 hours 52 minutes. Well, the computer is lying, because I literally shut it down every night. Okay, sure. Let's pretend the OS is lying and trying to make you look bad. I'll play along. I asked her to walk me through how she shuts the computer down, as I was remoted onto the system. One big, heavy. Pretty sure she was rolling her eyes at me later, and I get, there. I shut it down. The computer is still on. If it were off, I'd have been disconnected. I can still move around and open programs. The computer is definitely not shut down. Yes, it is. The screen is black. Did you press the button on the monitor? That's how you shut a computer down. Are you new? Number. I'm not new. I've been doing jobs like this since 1997. I've also been in the position at my soon-to-be former employer for just over a year, so definitely not new. I try to explain to her the difference between a computer and a monitor, and she argues with me for a good 5 minutes about how I'm wrong. Different tactic. Okay, well, let's move on. Let me walk you through how IT recommends shutting a computer down. She agrees, along with a snide comment about how we're always telling them to do things incorrectly somehow. Whatever. With her watching, I walked her step by step through just rebooting the computer and add in, if you want to turn it off, click on shut down instead of restart. Mostly, I didn't want to shut it down because I wasn't entirely confident I could convince her to push the power button on the tower to turn it back on, and she'd have lost her mind thinking I broke the computer somehow. That should be it, but nah, I'm not that lucky today. Instead, she flips and starts yelling at me about how I broke the computer because Windows went away and now there's this black screen with all kinds of words. Just the POST screen. And how she'd be talking to the IT director and CIO if I got her documents deleted. Mid-freak out at me, the computer finishes rebooting and drops her back at the Windows logon screen. After she logged in, I showed her the system uptime again, which was now reporting about 3 minutes. Oh, no apology for being fantastically incorrect or yelling at me about it, because why would she want to do that? And, of course, it was running fine after a reboot. IT director threw out the 1-star review she gave me, trying to state that I was rude to her and acted like she didn't know how to use a computer, primarily because he overheard my half of the conversation. Only $25K for a server? Let's get the $100K version. It's bound to be more reliable. If only we knew how to use it. Scene. I was working in IT in the early 2000s. I had cleaned up the company's core network, getting rid of the 10 MB hubs, and now the company realized it was time to tackle the big enchilada, the ERP system. The setup, in which stupid decisions are made. This system was critical. Through it ran all the company's financials, HR, shipping, parts processing, etc. And I promise I am not making this up. It quite literally ran on a system that was the size of a washer-dryer set and was so old it didn't even support a CI. A steady parade of tech. Well, one tech that still understood it came by to service the line printer, the tape drive, etc. A committee for evaluating replacements was formed. After sitting through presentations by various sleazy ERP salespeople, a product was duly chosen. As luck would have it, the consultants that sold and installed product also sold and installed hardware. And the company's hardware they sold, IBM. Consultants duly produced a quote for a $25,000 server. It was nothing special, a regular rack mount job with RAID, the sort of thing that one would have gotten for $10,000 or less from Dell or HP. It was going to run Linux. I knew Linux, but thought we were getting ripped off. Cue conversation at a committee meeting which somehow I managed to attend. Me. I'm concerned about the price. Manager. I know. Can you really get quality for only $25,000? VP. Right. Our last server cost over $200,000. Me. We could have the same for $10,000. Consultant sees his boat going down the toilet and gives me the evil eye. Manager. What if we got two? Then we'd have a backup. Consultant starts to look excited. VP. That's still only $50,000. Are we sure we're not buying something so cheap it's dodgy? Consultant starts to look very excited. Consultant. You know, we're an IBM reseller. We could sell you an Xbox. It's like what you're used to. Consultants duly provide a quote. They clearly put everything they possibly could into it, plus a generous profit margin, $80,000. Managers are still concerned that it's too cheap, so they add a separate disk expansion shelf. Read. Proprietary JBOD. To bring it up to $100,000. Me. Nobody here knows X. Consultant. You're good with Linux. We'll train you. For free even. VP. That's a great deal. Where do we sign? Which would have been fine if consultants actually had anyone that knew X. The plot thickens. The X equipment duly arrives, followed by a consultant to do the install. This isn't the Celeste guy consultant. This is the nerdy consultant. I'll call him Fresh Prince because he was always talking about his favorite TV show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Only Fresh Prince was the opposite of Will Smith. In every way. Of course. By this point, management is nowhere to be seen, so it's Fresh Prince and me. Fresh Prince. So I'll just install this then. Me. Great. I busy myself with the tasks of the day. Fresh Prince makes grunting noises as he struggles with the latch on the rack door, the rails, the server, the power, the install CD-ROM. After much effort, and a few calls to tech support, he seems to have managed to configure something or other. Fresh Prince. I'm all done. Me. You haven't asked me about the printer setup. Application needs printer access. Fresh Prince. Right. So, Tell me about these printers. I give him some information. Correct. Even. Muttering ensues. 4 hours. Me. So how's it coming? Fresh prints. Would you believe it? They redid how they do printers in X5. On X4, it was up somewhere else. And you have 5. I can't even find where it is in the menu. Ha ha ha. Me. You've spent all afternoon not configuring the printers? Fresh prints. Oh, don't worry. I've got a hotel room. I'll be back tomorrow. Hilarious. The Amber Lamp of Doom. Eventually not fresh prints. Set up the printers. The application is duly installed. Migrations occur. Rejoicing happens. Consultants leave. More rejoicing happens. Etc. Then one day, the Amber Lamp of Doom shows up on the system. WTF is this? Through various phone calls and twisty little menus. All alike. Shout out to Smitty for any eyes out there. We arrive at the conclusion. A disk in the RAID has failed. For about the 20th time that week. I was again thinking this would have been so much simpler on a $10 K Linux box. IBM duly dispatches an engineer with a hard drive. Engineer arrives. Engineer. Which drive is bad? Me. Heck if I know. It took me 2 hours just to find out that the problem is a bad drive. Engineer. I can't replace the drive unless I know which one. Me. I was sorta hoping you could figure that out since you're from, you know, the people that made this thing. Engineer. That's not my job, but as a favor to you, I'll see what I can do. Engineer calls support. An hour-long conversation involving many more twisty little menus ensued, while I eavesdropped and took notes for the future. Eventually the defective drive was identified and replaced. Engineer. All done. Sign here. Me. The amber light's still on. Engineer. It's supposed to do that. I hate IT when they say that. Me. That light was never on until the drive failed. Engineer. I know. You have to reset the lamp. Me. How? Engineer. I don't know. Sign here. Me. Also, there's no activity on the new drive. Engineer. You have to trigger a RAID rebuild. Me. I hesitate to ask. But how? Engineer. I don't know. Sign here. Multiple escalations occur at this point, since nobody in X support has any idea how to repair a degraded RAID. Eventually, some hours later, the magic Smitty incantation is produced. The RAID is rebuilt, and the amber lamp of doom extinguishes. Epilogue 2 years later, I managed to convince management to let me build a $10 K Linux box. User complaints were way down after that because it was much faster and, yes, more reliable. Manager. Wow. Technology is so amazing. 2 years ago, we had to pay 10 times as much for this. Me. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more Reddit content.